Thanks, Ron and Ann. And my guests are the very first guests I have on this new set and this new look, this new beginning. And I'm delighted to have Dave and Dorinda Moore here. Welcome, guys, from Ypsilanti, Michigan.
Great to be here.
You might as well be Canadians, you know. You're actually north of us. Do you know that? Where you are?
Know that.
Yeah, you're north of us. So I'm talking to some northerners here. Your book, The Father's Love, amid a frantic search for his son, a father finds his faith, is a real gripper. It's a page turner. It's a small book, you know, 106 pages or so. So I read it in one setting. But just give us a quick synopsis, Dave. What happened?
Well, it was December, and we were planning Christmas, and everything was all right with the world, we thought. Our son was a freshman at Eastern Michigan University, and so we came home from work one day, and we found a letter on his bed, and he said he was flunking out of college. He couldn't face us with this failure of his, and that his car would be parked at the Greyhound bus station in Ann Arbor, Michigan, which was about a 20-minute drive from us. So we hurriedly drove to the bus station, and it had just closed when we got there, but we circled the streets. A few streets over, we found his car. So we knew that he had gotten on that bus, and we knew wherever he got off of that bus, he would be broke and he would be homeless.
But at this point, you had no idea where he was going, and so you began really a frantic search. Dorinda, how did you feel when this news hit you that David had just up and gone?
Oh, I was just sick from head to toe. We didn't know what to do, where to go, where he would be, and we were just...
Was this typical behavior of his to be so impulsive?
No, I mean... He was quiet a lot. He didn't always share a lot of things, but we had no idea that anything like this could ever happen.
So Dave, you weren't going to let sleeping dogs lie. You immediately began to search frantically for him, which included, really, you were almost a detective, finding out how you could discover where he had gone. Tell us about that.
Well, it just began a frantic search for him, just trying in any way possible to find out where he'd gone. We started calling all of his friends, his girlfriend, and we eventually got a hold of his girlfriend, and she told us that he had mentioned the city of Dayton, Ohio, which was about a 3.5-hour drive from where we were at. So I just immediately jumped in our vehicle, and I headed for Dayton because that was the only clue I had. So I knew if he was there, I had to go there.
But I mean, Dayton's a big area. I mean, where do you begin the search? Were you just going to drive the streets?
Yeah, I mean, I really had no plan. I just knew I had to get there. If he was there, I would go there and do anything I had to do to find him.
Well, when was it that you discovered, and I forget from reading your book, that he hadn't gone to Dayton, but he'd gone to Atlanta?
Well, I found that out the next morning. I had sat all night outside of a homeless shelter, thinking he was in that homeless shelter, and he wasn't there. So I got a hold of the bus station there in Dayton. They opened at 9 o'clock. A gentleman there helped me behind the counter, and he looked his ticket up and found out it went to Atlanta, Georgia.
Now, how could he look his ticket up? I wondered that when I read the book. How did you track the ticket?
Well, the man at the terminal, he asked us his name and what bus station he had left from. In Ann Arbor, Michigan was the station, and so he looked it up that way.
So they actually keep a data record of people who've bought tickets. They're not anonymous.
Yes, he told us he wasn't supposed to do that, but he did that for me to help me.
And he could have got off at any place in between there, too. So
Well,
we still wasn't 100% sure.
So what did you do? Just say, okay, Atlanta, here I come?
Yes, basically that was it. I headed for Atlanta. I figured if my son was in Atlanta, I had to go there next. So I went to Atlanta.
Then what happened?
Well, I went to the bus station. My wife was at home, and she began to look up things on the internet as best she could, found out which bus station in Atlanta he had went to. So that was my initial starting spot, was that bus station. I went there. His bus had arrived many hours before that, but my hope was he was still in that area right near the bus station.
Now, people are going to have to get the book, and we'll tell them how to get it in a minute, but I have to skip a lot of stuff here because of time. Atlanta didn't work out.
No.
You didn't find him.
Not a clue.
So you had to come back home.
Yes.
Living with all the uncertainty and the failure of the search.
Yes.
How was it that David was discovered?
Well, after 5 days of searching for him, we came back to Michigan to file a missing police report there. And we went to Eastern Michigan University, posted his picture all over campus. It had been faxed from Michigan to Florida to every police station. And I had even gotten so desperate that I had contacted a psychic, and I didn't even believe in that. and I didn't have Christ in my life. So I really didn't have God to turn to, I didn't think. And so at that point, right before leaving out of the door to go to the psychic appointment, I felt something that led me to go back to the list of shelters we had been calling and to call one more time before I left. And that's what I did. I called the next name on the list, and it happened to be the Atlanta Church of God. And I called that number and talked to a wonderful lady named Paige. And Paige told me that after telling her the complete story, I really felt like going deeper this time. I told her everything. I was crying on my end of the phone. She was crying on her end of the phone. And she said to me when I finished telling her, she said, "Sir," she said, "I don't know you, but if you come back to this city looking for your son, you come straight to this church." She said, "You can stay with us. We'll feed you. We'll give you a car. We'll put somebody in the car with you that knows the streets of Atlanta. And if your son's here, we'll find him." And so when I hung up the phone, she had just touched me so deeply, this lady that didn't know me, this Christian woman. And there was a Bible sitting in front of me on the table. And my wife was raised in church, but I wasn't. But I saw that Bible, and I just picked that Bible up, and I held it straight up towards heaven to God. And I said, "God," I said, "I want to be just like this lady." I said, "If you'll save my son, I'll serve you for the rest of my life. I'll never leave you. I'll always be part of the solution, never part of the problem again." And I set the Bible down on that table, and the phone rang, and my son was home.
Just like that.
Just like that.
And a policeman who had come home to his home,
Yes.
a way he normally didn't drive home,
Yes.
spotted him on the street, dirty. I mean, it's like the prodigal son story, isn't it?
It really
in
is.
many ways. Now, we've only got a couple of minutes, and boy, this is such a fascinating story. Dorinda, Dave talks about his personal commitment to Christ. Now, I think really that was a turning point when you held the Bible up and said, "I'll serve you." But he actually came to church with you, and he responded to an altar call. Were you astonished at what was going on in your husband's life?
Yeah, I really was, because he wasn't raised in church. I was, so I knew of God at an early age. But yeah, because he didn't really know that he was supposed to ask for forgiveness, which he did. I mean, when we went to service, the first church Sunday that we had, he dove himself to the altar. He just ran there. He couldn't wait to get there.
Yeah, and then you say in the book that you just kept, every time the church doors were open, you were there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we were.
And just a quick update, David has just graduated, I understand, from a ministry training course. And here's a picture of, is this David here?
Yes, on the left.
On the left. What a good-looking young guy he is. So what's the future for him? What's he planning on doing?
Well, he's worked in Mission, Florida for many years at Abundant Life Church of God in Lakeland, Florida, under Pastor Ron and Colleen Stewart there. And he just graduated Lee College, as you said, with a bachelor's degree in church leadership. And he just took his ordained minister's test, and he passed that with a very high score. And so he has a lot of experience, and he wants to go on and serve God.
Is this a cool story or what?
Yeah.
It's amazing.
An encouragement to other parents whose children right now, for whatever reason, are in places unknown. Any advice to them?
Yeah, I'd say there's always hope with God. Turn it over to God and trust God, and I believe that God can do anything.
You know, and friends, the book, it's small. It's a great read. It's called The Father's Love. Amid a frantic search for his son, a father finds his faith. You can order it at our e-store. And here's how you do it. You log on to crosses.ca, or you can call 1-800-265-3100. Either will reach us, and it's reasonably priced, and you'll be able to have your own copy. And especially if you know of those who are going through something similar to this, they're going to want this book. It really is a heart warmer, and I know that it's going to encourage you. Just 30 seconds. Dorinda, how has this impacted you?
Well, it's been life-changing. I mean, like I said, I was raised in church, but I had drifted away, and so now it's just awesome to have my family in church, you know, all going to heaven.
Hey.
So that we can spend eternity there.
And the Lord obviously knows your name and every member of your family,
Yeah.
right? You got 2 other boys. How are they doing?
They're doing great.
Excellent. Friends, the Lord can do a big, big thing in your life if you just turn it over to Him. We'll be back with more right after this.